How could we talk with a sphere of light? Are they a manifestation of beings of higher consciousness? What is their origin? We're not talking about conventional contact with an extraterrestrial entity. We are facing an interdimensional contact. I'm Ricardo Gonzalez Corpancho. Welcome on board the Ark of Time. It's time to delve into one of the most fascinating mysteries of contact cases. A close encounter with entities of light, beings of pure energy. What could we call them? Cases of extraterrestrial creatures remotely moving their image? A type of holographic projection? Or are there consciousnesses of energy that do not possess a physical body? Interdimensional beings, as we could perhaps define them. I want to share a special case with you, a very important experience for me. I have great affection for Uruguay. I love visiting this small and wonderful country of South America. I've made a lot of friends there. In its geography, which houses just over 3.5 million inhabitants, a highlight are its fascinating beaches, vast rolling plains which cover much of the country. The Uruguayan terrain is basically pampa, and precisely in one of those regions that are host to beef cattle production is where the incident occurred that I will describe. La Aurora is the name of one of these ranches, farms, huge fields that cover about 2,500 acres. It is located a few yards away from the border bridge between the departments of Salto and Paysandú. That bridge crosses the Daimán River, each bank belonging to one of these two regions. On this ranch, or estancia, as it is called in Uruguay, you get there by a narrow dirt road which branches off from Route 3. It is a renowned enclave of mystery, not only in Uruguay, but also in South America, and not by coincidence. In the summer of 1976, its owner, Don Ángel María Tona, started to have extraordinary UFO experiences in the presence of his family and even with his farmhands, all as witnesses. One of these workers already had warned of the presence of those strange lights that moved around in the sky, objects that remained immobile over the ground and then zipped toward other strange objects, which they then seemed to go inside. During one of these episodes, while the alleged mothership was leaving, there was a blackout in the city of Salto, which is located just 6 miles from the ranch. But the incident that started everything occurred on February 4th, back in the year 1976. In the early morning, local people saw an intense glow in the sky, and the Tona family heard a kind of explosion. When they left the house, they found a destroyed ombu, a tree with a large canopy that can reach a height of 50 feet that is native to that region of South America. The entire top of the tree had practically disappeared. This ombu was only 55 yards away from the farmhouse and main buildings. The tree was left strangely split in half, producing a deep hole down into its roots, about 2 feet in diameter. And near it, there were some dead animals, frogs, field rabbits, really disturbing because it was as if they were frozen. As if all this were not enough, the Uruguayan army heard about this experience and had soldiers camped on the ranch with the Tona's consent. The purpose was to privately investigate the phenomena, but according to Tona himself, the soldiers became very frightened when the lights reappeared, so the military hurriedly broke camp and left. Officially, of course, this did not happen, and the more skeptical Uruguayan investigators in this field consider it a myth. However, the unexplained phenomena in the area is so plentiful that it is too much to simply be dismissed. The most interesting thing in the Aurora case is that beyond the UFO sightings of strange lights and phenomena on this Uruguayan ranch, is that visitors who came to this place with some physical ailment or illness began to recover. Specifically, when they focused on those areas of the field where the lights had appeared and where marks had been left. Apparently, people were healed there. And this situation was what made La Aurora stand out as a place of contact where people were healed. Its fame transcended Uruguay and became an international phenomenon. Intrigued by these miraculous healings, Argentine esoteric Ángel Cristo Acoglanis went out to the farm, and later, well-known Brazilian esoteric writer Tiguerinho did not let the opportunity slip by to write a book on the Aurora phenomena. Neither Tona nor his family ever approved the content of that text, but the damage was already done. The ranch in Uruguay was transformed into a first-rate place of pilgrimage, where entire busloads arrived. Again, entire busloads of sick people, as if the place were a sanctuary for the Virgin Mary, which it actually became due to some people's fanaticism, who ended up mixing their religious beliefs with extraterrestrial contact. And those healing processes that people experienced occurred in places where the ships, or whatever they were, left marks on the ground, which is what we're seeing in this photograph. People approached and would lie down, and then they would experience a healing. Even, according to Tona, people who had terminal illnesses. But later, all this was expanded, and the whole field became a great area for healing. And this deserves reflection. Of course, there are many phenomena that could give rise to beliefs, or even have some religions evolve from them. I have no doubt that many of them were formed because of contacts with the supernatural from extraterrestrial contacts. Maybe on another occasion, we could go into more detail about the mystery of apparitions of Mary. However, beyond the fact that UFO phenomenon is always tiptoeing around this type of experience, it's a very different story when, from a pure original contact, we tack on our beliefs, generating rituals and worship, and all that can be distorted. And that is what has happened, somehow, with these people these days who venture to the Aurora Ranch. Tona and his family felt overwhelmed and decided to close the ranch to the public. Today, they do not allow anyone to enter, but that has not been enough. People camp outside the gates, even to this day. I must say, I met Ángel Tona and his family personally. He's already passed, but I remember him as an exceptional guy. He was not the typical contact witness who sometimes, after these types of experiences, transforms into a distant, strange person who could erroneously believe that they are someone special, different from others, who projects themselves to people as an expert, as a type of guide, or cosmic guru for those who believe in their experience. I think that's very dangerous because contact witnesses are just everyday people who experience something incredible. And one of the humblest who I have met on my journey is Mr. Tona. The typical Uruguayan rancher who greeted you with a mate tea, that classic drink so typical of Uruguay, Argentina, and other countries of South America where it has its native origins. He welcomed me into his home with a mate tea. It's really wonderful to share with such a person, so down to earth, so kind, so sincere. And with him, I had an experience that I really didn't expect. Tona welcomed me into his home, and I had had the opportunity to make contact with him thanks to a dear mutual friend, my dear Gloria Libertad, who currently lives in Uruguay. And Tona welcomed us with extraordinary kindness and showed me, while we drank mate together, the animals that had been dissected in that strange manifestation of lights and the explosion of the Ombu tree in 1976. Photographs of personalities, including in the scientific field, who had visited the place, and so forth. But I was struck by his story that U.S. astronaut Neil Armstrong visited Uruguay. I don't mean the official visit made to Uruguay by the Apollo 11 mission astronaut, but another secret visit which, strictly according to Angel Tona's testimony, occurred on his ranch. The American astronaut had traveled, according to Tona, by land from Argentina. He arrived in Uruguay and met with him. Tona even showed me a photograph, which, unfortunately, I don't have in my possession. He just showed it to me, and in it was a man with a baseball cap and tinted glasses. It was allegedly Mr. Armstrong. According to Tona, the astronaut was investigating several places of contact, different phenomena in South America, since it was, according to what Neil told him, part of an initiative for paranormal research, which was obviously under the veil of his trip as a distinguished visitor. If this is so, I wouldn't be surprised, since the American astronaut belonged to various esoteric groups, including his membership in the Freemasons and also his well-known visit that I already mentioned to the Cave of the Tallos. The conversation with Tona was very relaxed when, suddenly, he said to me out of nowhere, "Do you want to meet Maya?" And this caught my attention. Tona said that after the sightings and these objects, some beings of light, of energy, had manifested themselves, which he linked with the appearance of these UFOs. Beings who introduced themselves by name, identifying themselves as entities of energy, of light, and one of whom was the aforementioned Maya. I said, okay, I really didn't believe him, and I must be honest in acknowledging that. I had the feeling that he wasn't lying. His experience was very solid, and those of us who have faced this type of contact when we hear other people's experiences. But to ask me, out of nowhere, let's leave the ranch and you will meet Maya, it seemed to me that it was, I don't know, impossible. We left, it was nighttime, and I remember that a light appeared in the distance. I thought it was a firefly that was blinking at us, but suddenly, as the light descended, becoming stronger, it was not a firefly. At least, I had never seen one so big and bright. And suddenly, it disappeared, and he said, "That was Maya. She came to greet you." That was it. And I said, wow, was that a gigantic firefly that lit up just when we went out there? How did Tona know that this was going to happen? Is he kidding with me? My experience concluded in Uruguay. I took my flight back to Peru. At that time, I still lived in Peru. And I remember that during the flight, I fell asleep and had a lucid dream where I saw myself with a female figure made of light, with feminine features, a female silhouette. And she said to me, "I'm Maya. Now you are seeing me in this form." I was present at Tona's ranch. You saw me as a sphere of light. I said, this can't be. What happened to me at that ranch in Uruguay has affected me so much that I'm dreaming in mid-flight. And suddenly, I woke up because a child had unbuckled his seatbelt and started running down the aisle of the plane, shouting, "Maya, Maya, Maya!" And his mother quickly went to get him. She brought him back to his seat and put his seatbelt back on, as if the child were playing with an imaginary friend. I got goosebumps and said, no, something extraordinary happened, and I have to open my mind to the possibility that Maya exists and that this contact with that alleged entity of light was genuine.